I'm about to get my very first taste of wheel-to-wheel racing. I'm excited and a little scared, but I've never felt more ready. A few years ago, I found an abandoned project car and set my sights on Spec3 racing. The car needed work, so while I built it up, I tested it in a variety of racing events, and then crashed it. But it was exactly the push I needed. For the past 8 months, my spare time has been devoted to building this car to be better than ever before. It's been one of the toughest challenges I've ever faced, and I'm about to find out if it was all worth it. This story picks up a few weeks after my crash at Okemo. Team Automotive graciously allowed me a spot to tear down the car and figure out what to do next. The goal was simple: get this car to NASA's competition school without breaking the bank, requiring me to pick up some tools and get to it. First, the passenger control arm was toast, but thankfully the stock arms aren't legal for Spec3 anyway, so that was a wash. With that quick install out of the way and the ability to steer restored, it was time to start taking this car apart. Unfortunately, that revealed that the frame rail had taken a pretty big hit, as it sat a few inches above its corresponding partner. Now, as a general disclaimer, you're going to see a lot of shoddy, borderline idiotic workmanship from me in this video. My automotive knowledge is extremely limited when it comes to modifying and fixing cars. I try and do my research and figure things out, but at the end of the day, I really don't know what I'm doing. Thankfully, my line of work has introduced me to a lot of people that do. So I took the car over to Paul's Autobody in Waltham, Mass. to get the frame rail aligned and the body panels sorted out. I will say that this car is not worthy of what these guys are actually capable of. I've taken a few of my street cars here over the years, and their work has been nothing short of outstanding. But being a race car, I set a pretty strict budget for the rebuild, and thus some concessions had to be made for the body panels and parts for the time being. But don't worry, I have a solution for all of that soon. With the car realigned and the new CSF radiator installed, it was able to run again, so I headed back to Team for one last push before bringing it back to its storage unit. The rest of my parts had finally arrived as well, which meant the Spec3 legal stock bushings could be installed. However, this required a press, and unfortunately undoing some of my previous work. The driver's side control arm was stubborn, but thankfully Georgie stepped in for that mechanic's touch. Hey!
So Chomp has certainly seen better days, and we have a lot of work to do before we can get this car back on the track and ready for comp school at NGMP.
With my alleged labor savings, I was able to purchase the remaining parts needed to get this car Spec3 legal and race ready. The big ones: fire suppression, Toyo R's, suspension, rain light, safety equipment, and so on. On top of that, I still had to figure out how I wanted the car to look. The B-52 Bomber Chomp livery was actually hand-painted on by the previous owner, and while it's impressive, is not something I want to try and replicate. Instead, I have some temporary plans while I work on something far more compatible with the E36's style. But first, my two younger brothers, Dom and Mike, offered to help with the suspension. All three of us had zero mechanical experience, but that didn't stop us from giving it a shot. However, this wing it attitude and my lack of research bit us a few times, and I certainly do not recommend any attempt to drill spring retainer holes by hand.
You suck.
While Dom worked on that, Mike and I got started on the very important job of sticker removal.
We're through, boys!
Through sheer will, Dom was able to get both sides done, which led to an easy install for the remaining rear struts. At this point, I got really distracted and started shaving down all the rust spots for future paint, which revealed some additional issues a little above my pay grade. The years that this car has spent outside prior to my ownership had not been kind to it. Furthermore, there was a lot of Bondo hiding behind the paint.
We have the rear shocks installed on the car, and now it's time to move on to the fronts. And this is a little bit more involved because it does require some cutting and some other minor modifications. So this is an OEM E36 M3 sack strut from FCP Euro, and we're going to install the Koni yellow inserts that are required to be compliant for NASA Spec3. From what it looks like is a pretty straightforward process. However, this is going to be my first complete suspension install that I've ever done. So I'm a little nervous, and I'm definitely going to be learning as I go. So essentially what we're going to do is we're going to poke a little hole at the bottom here, drain the fluid, and then cut the top of this off. And essentially this should just come out. So once I did the first one, I went ahead and did the second one. So this is going to be the next Koni insert that's going in. And as you can see, it's pretty beat up, but it will now fit pretty easily, which will be nice. So once that Koni yellow is inserted, we have this very nice OEM style Swift spring from RRT. And then we're going to combine that with this very, very nice custom Vorschlag Spec3 camber plate that was made specifically for this chassis and for this class. So that's pretty neat. And it looks very nice. Let's get going on this, and then from there, we should have a fully functioning suspension.
I was starting to get pretty excited. While the car rode pretty good on the ground control setup, this, combined with H&R sway bars and Toyo RRs, should make for some impressive lap times. While I was in there, I took out the end links and swapped for some new ones. Unfortunately, the H&R setup hadn't arrived yet, so we had to install to the stock sway bar for the time being.
I will say, it does feel a little odd putting wheels back on this car, knowing that I did all the work. I almost don't trust myself, but hopefully, fingers crossed, everything's good. There'll be no issues. And that's not good. This car will drive exactly how it's supposed to. But I highly doubt it. Alright, so the suspension's in, end links are in, wheels are on, car's on the ground. It looks pretty friggin' rad, I'm not gonna lie.
With a good chunk of the simple work done, it was time to take this car back to the professionals for the real race gear, along with double-checking my handiwork. I commissioned the help of Wile Motorsports in Walpole, Mass., who specialize in all things BMW, but especially so with the E36 chassis. They would handle the fire suppression system, rain light, alignment, the newly discovered tie rod, among a few other things. With all that done, the car was coming along nicely, but at this point we were about 1 week from NGMP. There was no time to waste. Back at the storage unit, I started sanding and prepping the car for paint immediately. I simply could not look at these mismatched panels any longer. This took a ton of hours off camera, and admittedly I didn't do a great job, but a friend of mine offered to paint the panels with some matte rattle cans, and I have to say, it came out a lot better than I expected.
Alright, so now that this car is painted in one uniform color, we can move on to the final stages of this build to get ready for NGMP in just a few days. I am completely over the moon with how this car came out. It has never ever looked better since my ownership. Sure, the paint's not perfect, but we're not looking for perfection here. This is a race car. The chomp thing was cool. got a lot of attention certainly, but it never really felt like my car, and I'm super excited to tailor this car now to how I see fit. So yeah, without further ado, let's get the front end finished, put the bumper and grille back on this thing, do a couple more things in the interior, put some stickers on it, do an oil change, and get this car 100% ready for comp school in just a few days. If you're gonna work on old BMWs, make sure to get a tetanus shot.
A moment to really appreciate how far this car has come. No doubt the past 8 months had been a complete roller coaster of emotions, but getting this car back to this state was one of the most rewarding things I'd ever done. It's certainly not the prettiest car in the world, but I think it looks pretty damn mean for an E36. I certainly would have loved to have done more aesthetically, but I was down to the wire. I had to pack up and leave for NGMP the next morning. Most importantly, the car was prepped and ready to go racing. Or so I thought.
You literally can't make this up. In that short time that we were filming our glamours, the car just started overheating. I took a quick look at the dash and temps went up to like 250 degrees.
It seemed like the radiator fan was dead, despite it working just a few days earlier. Not a huge problem, but I was now concerned of a possible warped head. With this being the last comp school of the year, it seemed like all of this might be for nothing.
Glycerine.